From the shores of the Mediterranean to the winding Jordan River, a narrow strip of land, just 230 miles long and 75 miles wide, has borne witness to some of the most contested and consequential moments in human history. Over 3,000 years ago, this land was home to the ancient kingdom of Israel, ruled by kings like David and Solomon. Jerusalem became not just a capital, but a spiritual beacon. Over the centuries, one empire after another conquered this region. The Assyrians, Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, and Romans. Each left their mark, reshaping boundaries and identities. In 135 CE, after crushing a Jewish revolt, the Romans renamed the region Syria Palestina, erasing the Jewish name and hoping to erase its legacy. Over the next 1,300 years, the land shifted hands again and again, from the Byzantine Empire to early Muslim dynasties to Crusaders, Mamluks, and eventually the Ottoman Turks, who ruled from 1517 until the end of World War I. Under Ottoman rule, Jews, Muslims, and Christians coexisted in cities like Jerusalem, Hebron, and Jaffa, though not without tensions. It was a multi-ethnic, multilingual society held together by imperial rule, and one that was forever altered when the Ottomans fell. In the wake of World War I, the British took control of Palestine, endorsed by the League of Nations. This began the British Mandate, a 28-year period that changed the course of the modern Middle East. In 1917, the British issued the Balfour Declaration, stating support for a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. This sparked global Jewish immigration, especially from Europe, where anti-Semitism was on the rise. By 1931, Jews made up 17% of Palestine's population. By 1947, they were over 33%. But for the Arab Palestinians already living there, the sudden demographic and political changes created deep anxiety and growing resistance. Tensions escalated. Arab revolts broke out. British forces cracked down. And the Jewish community organized underground militias to defend settlements and, at times, to fight the British. In 1947, the United Nations proposed partitioning the land. 56% would go to a Jewish state, 44% to an Arab state. Jerusalem would be placed under international administration. Jewish leaders accepted the plan. Arab leaders rejected it, seeing it as unfair, since they were the majority population and had far less land under the proposal. In the months that followed, civil war broke out between Jews and Arabs in Palestine. Then, on May 14, 1948, as the British Mandate ended, David Ben-Gurion declared the establishment of the State of Israel. The very next day, armies from Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq invaded. Israel, vastly outnumbered but militarily organized, managed to repel the attacks. By the time the 1948-49 war ended, Israel controlled 77% of the former British Mandate territory, much more than what had been assigned by the UN. Around 750,000 Palestinians fled or were expelled during the war. Over 400 of their villages were destroyed or depopulated. This mass displacement became known as the Nakba, the catastrophe. For Israelis, 1948 was a miracle, the rebirth of their ancient homeland. For Palestinians, it was a wound that has never healed. By 1949, Jordan controlled the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Egypt controlled Gaza. No Palestinian state was created. Instead of peace, the war left behind lines of armistice, borders drawn not through agreement, but through battle. The lines drawn in 1949 became known as the Green Line, Israel's de facto borders until 1967. But those borders did not settle the conflict. They only paused it. In June 1967, after months of escalating tensions and military posturing, Israel launched a preemptive strike against Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. In just 6 days, Israel captured the West Bank, Gaza Strip, East Jerusalem, the Sinai Peninsula, and the Golan Heights. For Israel, it was an overwhelming victory. For the Arab world, it was a devastating loss. And for Palestinians, it marked the beginning of military occupation that continues to this day. Israel quickly annexed East Jerusalem and declared the unified city its capital. It also began building settlements in the West Bank and Gaza, communities of Israeli citizens living in areas captured during the war. These settlements, illegal under international law, grew rapidly over the following decades. In 1979, Israel returned the Sinai Peninsula to Egypt in exchange for peace, the first treaty between Israel and an Arab country. But Palestinian aspirations remained unfulfilled. In 1987, after years of military rule and expanding settlements, the first Intifada broke out, a grassroots uprising in the West Bank and Gaza. Stones were thrown, protesters marched. The world began to see the occupation on their television screens. The uprising led to the Oslo Accords in the early 1990s, a historic agreement between Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization. Under Oslo, the Palestinian Authority was created to govern parts of the Western Bank and Gaza. The territory was divided into 3 zones: Area A under full Palestinian control, Area B under shared control, and Area C, about 60% of the West Bank, under full Israeli control. But Oslo didn't resolve key issues: the status of Jerusalem, the fate of refugees, borders, or security. And when the Second Intifada erupted in 2000, the peace process unraveled. Violence surged on both sides. Israel built a massive separation barrier in and around the West Bank, citing security needs, while Palestinians saw it as a land grab. In 2005, Israel unilaterally withdrew from Gaza, dismantling all of its settlements and removing its military presence. Many hoped this would be a step toward peace, but in 2007, the Islamist group Hamas took control of Gaza after a brief civil war with the Palestinian Authority. Since then, Gaza has been under a tight blockade by both Israel and Egypt. Israel controls its airspace, sea access, and most land crossings. Periodic wars between Hamas and Israel have killed thousands. In between, Gaza's 2.3 million residents endure high unemployment, food insecurity, and crumbling infrastructure. In the West Bank, meanwhile, Israeli settlements have expanded. Today, over 500,000 Israeli settlers live in more than 250 settlements and outposts. Roads, checkpoints, and military zones carve the territory into fragments, making the creation of a viable, contiguous Palestinian state increasingly difficult. The map has changed, but the conflict remains unresolved. Territory is at the heart of the story. Who owns the land? Who has the right to return? Who gets to call Jerusalem their capital? This isn't just about maps. It's about identity, history, trauma, and hope. Whether the future brings one state, 2 states, or something else entirely, the people on both sides deserve a just and lasting peace. And that begins with understanding how we got here.